Kingdom.
Hagrid Was in My Valley, directed by John Ford, our old pal John
Mhm.
Ford,
Yeah.
making a family drama, sort of coming of age story about growing up in a little town in Wales where people work at the coal mine, and how lovely it was in the olden times before all the bad stuff happened. And I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, that was like a week of your life when it was good, seemingly. It's like, I don't know. I didn't love this, and I kind of wish that I liked it more, but um
Yeah, same. I think it's alright. I think this suffers from, a kind of bookiness, potentially, of
yeah.
being, like, this kind of meandering, like, kinda unfocused, like, it's got this kinda epic feel, but it's like, "Okay, what are you doing?" You know?
Mm. I also feel like this movie is very nostalgia driven, and it's nostalgic for like a time that is, I think, is like so far removed from how we live now that it's a little bit harder to kind of hold on to. Like, I
It
think
doesn't
when
paint
this
a
movie came
lot
out in
of a
41,
picture.
I
Yeah.
think in 1941 this was like, ah, yes, the older generation, they lived a simpler life where, like, things weren't as complicated, blah 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 blah, or whatever. And I'm
Yeah.
sort of like, yeah, like 1880, whatever. Like, not that I'm like, oh, who cares? But it's like, it feels like it is like so far removed just from kind of like, I can see this playing a lot better in 1941 than it does now, I guess, for that reason. The fact that it's like so kind of romanticizing a time and a place, I guess.
I think that, like, a point of comparison with this movie is A Christmas Story, which is
Never seen
another movie. I actually haven't seen it either, but
it.
it's another movie that has, like, this kind of nostalgia. It is the an adult narrator of,
Mm,
the child protagonist reminiscing on his past, right? And it's this nostalgic kind of look at the 1950s, I believe, for that movie, which may be, a bit more alien to us about, like, 50s nostalgia than in the same way that, like,
yeah, I don't know, because I feel like I watch like American Graffiti, and I'm like, I get it. Like, I wasn't alive in the '50s, but like, sure, George Lucas, like, I can see why you were like, ah, remember in the '50s when we were just driving cars around the streets and like no one cared about anything. I was like, yeah, I get it. Whereas this is like, I remember when like everyone worked at the coal mine and then like everyone died in an accident. I'm like, no, dude, like this sounds terrible.
yeah. I mean, this is a movie that I didn't dislike this movie. I just thought I
I
was
didn't
like, this.
dislike it either. I think it is a very, I don't know. It doesn't sound backhanded. I think it's a very well directed movie. But I think I found it hard to get emotionally invested in it, I guess.
It's a visually beautiful movie.
It is,
Like
yeah.
that, I thought, especially in the beginning where it's trying to establish the kind of beauty of this valley, of life in this
Mhm.
valley. There are some gorgeous shots, gorgeous compositions, painterly, of
That
just
valley looks
life.
pretty green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far yeah. There's a lot of comments on Letterboxd about about it being a black and white movie without color in the title. But this is a movie that doesn't spend a lot. Like, the premise of this movie is things were better. Let's watch them all go to shit,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
like, a la Fellowship of the Ring. But this, like, doesn't spend a lot of time in the Shire. Uh, this doesn't.
Mm.
Do you see my comparison? I feel like the
Kind
comparisons
of.
that I'm making with this movie, you don't buy any of them. um, but like
I
this
did
is a
think of
movie that
hobbits several times during this movie, though, so maybe not the best comparison.
this movie is wishing for a better time, and it kind of ends the very beginning of it. I believe is like the main character leaving the valley, right, as an adult. uh
Hmm.
and then
Oh, right.
it
Yeah.
like he's like, yeah, it's horrible here now, I'm gonna leave, remember when it was good. And then it kind of goes back to, yeah, family life, and then the various dramas that happen
Mhm.
to these people throughout their lives, some good, many bad.
Yeah.
uh
I guess my kind of like gripe with it is it's like, I remember when the times were good. I'm like, yeah, when you were like a little kid, you had no responsibilities. Of course, you thought everything was good. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of the like, I get what this movie is trying to do, but it just didn't work on me. I guess.
well, I don't think it's like specifically him talking about like his own life being better when he was a kid. I mean, like, there it was materially better, right? Like his conditions changed
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like his his sister was married off to someone she didn't love and taken away from the person that she did. His brother died in the coal mines. Like, there was a strike that like put like made everybody starve, and like in the before times, like people were treated with respect, quote unquote, and like striking wasn't necessary. And now we live in this like grimmer reality where people are getting exploited, and we have to reckon with that,
Yeah.
you know.
Maybe it's just the fact
uh
that I've been feeling very kind of cynical lately. That I'm just like, the coal mine was always a coal mine. It was always run by like a greedy like profiteer. Like, just because you remember a time that none of that was relevant, I don't know.
I mean, I don't think
I
it's
feel like
not just
I'm
him though,
coming
it's like
down very
his
negative
it's
on this, but
his dad. His dad is
yeah.
someone who at one point, like, he doesn't support the strike initially because he's still understanding things under the old paradigm before the owner of the mine, either, depending on how you see it, either like decided or ended up kind of becoming more cruel and capitalistic, or had just not realized yet that he could, right? Either way, his dad didn't support the strike because he was like, we shouldn't be doing this because things are good, and because like why would our, benefactors, the mine owners, like treat us poorly, right? And I
Yeah.
think there is there is something to, it's not just like a childlike naivete. It's kind of positioning his dad as someone who is from, an older, more civilized age.
I guess it's also my it's just like general worldview. It's like that there was no more civilized age. Like, there's like that didn't exist. Like,
Yeah.
I think the wistful looking back on like, oh, a simpler time, things were never simple. Like, if anything, I've learned a lot of that from doing this show and like looking at the history segment. Speaking of
Yeah.
dark periods of history, it's like it was never good. There was never,
Yeah,
I don't know if
that's
there was a
true.
single year we looked at that didn't have some horrific like massacre happen, or like some
Yeah.
just like really awful thing to look back and be like, man, damn, the past was awful, huh?
I mean, I think that your cynicism is not uncalled for, especially if we look at it in comparison with, our last John Ford movie, The Grapes of Wrath. Like, that's a movie that is very directly and angrily grappling with
Mhm.
like real suffering. It's like
Yeah, that I could get
it
on
has
board
a
with.
like, The Grapes of Wrath has like a real perspective. It has like a real political agenda. And this movie, I think, like, yeah, it's watered down. It feels watered down. It feels like it doesn't feel as vital as Grapes of
Hmm.
Wrath.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of the themes that it's kind of grappling with, of kind of like decency versus like trying to hold on to these like ideals and things like that. Like, the dad is very much like, no, we shouldn't go on strike because like the people who own the mine are humans like we are, and all the sons are like, no, he's a rich human. We are not the same. Like, he has all of the power. We have none of it. Like, what are you talking about? You know? And then he's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is like bad manners to talk like this. And he's like, and I say, if manners prevent us from speaking the truth, then we will be without manners. And I was like,
Yeah.
fucking A, man.
Great line. Great line.
And there's a lot. There's like the whole thing of there's like the Weasley guy at the church who's like they're right. There's like a hot priest who's sort of all about like not being like oppressively religious about just like no, this is a community thing. We all come here to be together. Like prayers about just like speaking your mind and like putting your thoughts into words. And
Hmm.
he's very just sort of like trying to get everyone on board, trying to get the whole town together, and like he let when oh god, what's the daughter's name? She has a crazy Welsh name. Not crazy. She has a Welsh name.
Angharad, almost like
And Herod.
like in Fury Road.
I also thought of Fury Road, so thank you for not making me feel like a weirdo for thinking that. Um, but they have a whole Fleabag esque romance thing, and he lets her down. I think in a very mature way, where he's like, well, somewhat mature, because he's like, oh no, like I don't want to put this on you. Like you deserve better. And I'm like, if she wants to get married, dude, and you're into it, I don't know what I know what you're complaining about. But right, so there's this sort of like forbidden romance thing going on there.
Well, I don't know the particulars of the religion that they're doing. It might be like a, you can't get married, you have to celibacy kind of thing, like
That's what I thought
that.
at first, but then his excuse wasn't that. It was that like, oh, you'll be like penniless and miserable if you're like
Mm.
marrying me, because he's like so committed to the church. And then there's like the little Weasley guy who's like the deacon at the church who's like just like publicly shaming people left and right. Like there's a lot of I feel like the movie is like showing you kind of two sides of like religious like oppression and also this guy who like actually is like kind-hearted and just wants to help people. There's like the people who are like, no, work is good, it keeps us busy, it's like it pays for our food, and then the other people are like, no, like we deserve more than this, like we're being taken advantage of. That isn't decent either. And so I like that the movie is trying. I like the ideas that this movie I think is kind of trying to grapple with a bit. But I found a lot of it to be a little maybe a little overly simplistic, a little bit just kind of the idealism didn't a lot of the idealism of this movie didn't really land with me.
Yeah.
Um, there's like they like send the narrator character to school, but then the school teacher is like the meanest man who ever lived.
It's
It's like
it really reminded me of
he's so cruel. He's
it
just
really
beating
reminded me of The
children.
Wall. Like the kind of cruel school teachers in Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Maybe
Uh
Pink Floyd, big John Ford fans. We don't know
I mean, but also maybe that's just like,
because that's that. This
in
movie is the only place with mean school teachers. Yeah.
well, in The Wall, right? It is talking about this kind of like institutionalized cruelty within the British school system,
Yeah.
and how it's like perpetuates like a cycle of like cruelty and violence and all of that, and like and so it's speaking from the experience of a British person who went through probably a pretty similar school experience, so
Mm,
it did kind of ring true in a way.
yeah. But then it's like they're like, oh, he's gonna be the first member of the family that's gonna go to school, like get a college education. And like the school is so incredibly cruel to him that he's like, never mind, I'd rather work in the coal mine. And then yeah, he's like a child laborer and a bunch of coal mining. Like his brother gets killed in the coal mine, his dad gets killed in the coal mine. And right, we're seeing like slowly like the this like pastoral, lovely, beautiful fairy tale town is being like chipped away at over the course of the whole movie until it's just this like nearly unrecognizable husk of its former self. And it's like, ah,
there,
remember when the valley was green?
there was a point where I was really reminded of the limits of storytelling, where like
Hmm.
toward the beginning of the movie, like the main character kind of catches feelings for the person who ends up marrying his older brother, right? There's this whole
Hmm.
scene of him just like, oh wow, she's the lady for me, like whoa. And then
Uh,
she's not available anymore because she marries his brother. And that moment I was like, so his brother's gonna die, right?
and then
It's
he
like,
does, and he moves in with his widow.
yeah, yeah. Like it's just, I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't have known in advance that his brother
Oh,
was gonna
just like
die, but it's but it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, like, you know, if the main character is crushing on your brother's fiance, like, where in a screenplay is that ever going to end except for the brother dying and then
I mean, it does. It seemingly does not go anywhere in the movie, but
not really.
I do like in the narration in that moment where he's like, "Oh, some people would say that like falling in love as a child is foolish or whatever." And he's like, "But I'm sorry, like I'm narrating this story. Like, were you there? No." He doesn't say that, but that's like the vibe is he's sort of like, "Hang on, like I'm remembering my own childhood right now. Like you don't don't come at me." Very defensive narration. I do think like this movie gets at there's some sort of like childhood sort of things I think this is able to kind of capture well. Like I think just even like there's the whole thing where the family hosts lots of they like have the whole town over to their house and like cook food for everyone. Everyone has beer. And there's like the bit of he's coming down the stairs in his like pajamas, like looking through the staircase banisters. And I'm like that I feel it feels like a I don't know, like a classic childhood memory of the kind of like getting put to bed, but then there's like a grown up party happening, and you like sneak out a little bit. You're like looking at like, ooh, there's like grown up party happening. What are they up to? I really like when after he gets beaten up by the Draco Malfoy kid at school. Well, he gets beaten up by the teacher, and also gets beaten up by a bully that he then has to learn how to box from the local boxing lads down at the pub. And they're like, "Oh, here, have like a glass of milk or whatever." And they're like, "No, no, no. He's got to learn how to box. He's got to drink beer. It's the only way to learn how to box." And then when his brothers when it comes home from school after boxing the bully, he gets beaten by the teacher. You know, all of his adult brothers are like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Oh, they're clearly like the teacher beat him with a stick," and all his brothers are like, "We'll go kill that guy for you if you want." And he's like, "No, no, please don't do that. Don't do that." But then the boxers, the family friends go to the school and beat up the teacher anyway, which might have been my favorite scene in the movie.
There's this the movie has this perspective of like that that it's the kind of part of the essential male experience to fight,
To fight,
to like
yeah. The other thing that I kind of like was a little bit resistant to.
that I feel like you know do-
Like, I remember the olden
doctrinally
times when you could just fight people in the street. And I'm like, no, it's not the good old times.
there is like some small part of it that like I know fighting and violence is bad and it's toxic masculinity and all that. I understand that, but there is a part of it that movie that made me go like maybe like there are some things that like make sense or not make sense, but it's like maybe there is something to be said for the catharsis of fisticuffs, you know.
It's the well. That's the thing is he makes friends with the bully. The bully then is like kind of defends him against the teacher when like he's like breaking up a fight. It's like no fighting allowed, and the teacher is like bend over so I can like hit my stick on this kid. And he's like, no, I won't do it. Like he through boxing the other kid who's bullying him, they like
Yeah,
form a
he's
respect for each other.
yeah.
And having not gotten into a lot of fights, like I've not had this experience, but I've heard from people that have had this experience where like you get into an actual fight with someone, and it like there is this like unspoken like bond that is formed sometimes where it's like you gain a lot of respect for someone having fought them.
That there was a part of this movie that was making me go like are is our modern day society and laws about assault like stopping some types of beautiful catharsis among among boys and
It's
and
I don't say
boxing
no,
lads as well.
but I think it is sort of like go to boxing class. Don't just like I agree. Don't just like beat up on people because that is also bad.
Yeah, yeah.
But I also it's funny how much that comes up in I think a lot of movies from like this era. Like I think of like all the Frank Capra movies where it's like
Yeah,
at some point the like the sort of like idealistic wonder filled guy just gets mad and starts hitting people. and it's framed as like, oh yeah, you should be doing that.
He can
And
hit.
also, yeah, Miracle on 34th Street, a lovely, wonderful movie where Santa Claus hits a guy in the head with a big stick and then has to go to court for assault. And they,
We'll get to it. We'll get to
yeah, that movie is like fully on board with Santa Claus. Santa Claus actually says in that he's like, sometimes you just gotta bonk someone on the head. Like that's the only thing they'll listen to.
it.
Like Santa Claus said it, so it can't be wrong.
He is a saint.
Yeah.